My beloved child, if you choose silence before what I am about to say, it will not grieve me, but it will leave you bearing fractures you cannot immediately see. I do not wield power to coerce, yet in love I kneel and plead. Do not take lightly what I say. This time, for some consequences, do not arrive with thunder. They slip into your life as a whisper. I have watched many begin in faithfulness, and then drift away through choices that seemed insignificant. One missed prayer, a small compromise, a throwaway word, each tiny brick quietly building a wall between you and me. By the time you notice, faith has sometimes become a coat hanging in the closet, beautiful but no longer worn. Do not assume collapse only comes through grand events. In the dark, the evil one is not loud. It hints, soothes, and lures you with what appears reasonable. Its trap is continual rationalization until you no longer feel the need for any reason at all to move away from me. With every concession, you sign an invisible pact, not with me, but with the very abyss whose bottom you cannot see. Have you ever wondered, why am I weary, though I still go to church? Why do I still pray, but my heart no longer burns? Because erosion does not strike with a single blow. It comes as 1,000 daily scratches you allow. The small concessions, just for today, it's fine, everyone does it, are draining your spirit. A soul does not die suddenly. It withers for lack of light. Temptation today does not dress as a demon. It wears the masks of goals, busyness, convenience, relationships, then tells you, you deserve a break, be less strict with yourself. But my child, ease is the key that unlocks the gilded cage where the soul is imprisoned by self-satisfaction. Guarding your heart in this age is not a heroic feat. It is the pilgrimage of the watchful. Such a one need not shout faith, but lives each day as though I am seeing through every quiet choice. No one wakes up and decides to turn their back on me. Yet many have drifted far without ever realizing they have gone. It begins with a choice that does not invite me in choosing work without prayer, bonding with someone without seeking. My wisdom setting financial priorities without asking what pleases me. Each small decision seems harmless, yet it opens the door to outcomes that spill beyond your control. For when you no longer find me necessary in little things, you will struggle to recognize me when you need me most. Some things do not require a roar. A long silence is enough to leave a soul dying of thirst. I see you not obviously fallen, not brazenly doing wrong, yet slowly withdrawing from the light. Every time you choose without inviting my presence, every time you decide without seeking my will, you are saying in your heart, surely this is no big deal. But child, that is when you have begun to live as though I am no longer necessary. Small choices are like underground streams. You do not see them, but they are steadily eroding your foundations. When you no longer pause to pray before a meeting, a word, or a new path, your soul is being trained to operate without guidance. Then when hardship comes, you will stare in confusion. Why is everything in chaos? My beloved child, chaos does not arrive in a day. It is sown by the many times you cease to regard me as your source. In Joshua chapter 9, Israel was deceived by the Gibeonites. They came in tattered guise, pretending to be from a distant land seeking peace. Scripture records a bitter detail. So the men of Israel took some of their provisions, but did not inquire of the Lord. Joshua 9:1-4. The fault was not compassion. It was deciding without asking me. Just once, yet the consequences stretched across a lifetime and a nation. That story is not far away. It repeats in you whenever you make a choice and forget that I am the one who knows all things. You ask why I speak so much about small things. Because the enemy of your soul rarely strikes head-on at first. It prowls in corners that seem harmless, an unguarded conversation, a light compromise at work, a financial decision where my kingdom is no longer a priority. Each time you step outside holy protection. Then when the big thing hits, There is no inner strength to stand for. You have lived too long without drawing me into each step. I do not blame you for moments you forget. I understand fatigue, pressure, and the current of life. But I long for you to return, not for judgment, but to walk with you. You need not bring only the enormous to your prayers. Begin again by offering me even the small choices. Lord, what should I say today, Lord? Should I keep silence? Lord, am I doing what delights you? I never grow weary of your voice, but I grieve when you choose silence toward me. Picture this: a door left slightly ajar in a rainy night. Wind slips in, then dampness, then cold. No one broke the door. It simply wasn't shut. So it is with decisions made without me. One day a strong gust passes through and the room is left clammy and disordered. When you invite me into every moment, you are closing the door against winds your eyes cannot see. This is not rigidity. It is living awake. If you have found yourself exhausted, confused, adrift, I do not ask you to start over as a grim, striving warrior. I want you to return as a child. A child need not know everything but holds the Father's hand when crossing the street. You do not need to know the whole road. You need only know that if I am with you, you will never be swallowed by the dark. Perhaps you are asking, I've gone too far. Can I come back? I answer. Every step toward me is a step closer to life. No decision is too late if you begin to bring me back in, even in the smallest things. Where I am present, there restoration comes, healing comes, rebuilding comes, not loudly but bit by bit, like a quiet morning after the storm. And do you know, distance has never stopped me from seeking you. I am still there, still calling softly to your heart, in the hush, in dreams, in the sigh. I do not reproach you for not hearing in time, but I will be grieved if you never turn around. For the moment you turn, I am already there, arms wide open. I ask only this in this awakening: do not merely weep, and then forget here, and then dismiss. Do one very simple thing: begin again by asking me before you decide. However small it seems to me, it is the sign that your soul has set itself back on true course. And you will see, when you make me the ground beneath what seems trivial, your soul will gain strength to discern what is true from the honeyed emptiness the world keeps painting as sweet. Some things ring loudly in the ear, yet leave no echo in the heart. Have you ever paused to ask why some promises sound like sweet music, but finally leave you hollow? The world is skilled with words, child. It rouges failure, calls selfishness freedom, and sugarcoats desire with slogans about being true to yourself. But behind those slogans are souls worn thin by placing hope in what has no root. I have seen you chasing after alluring calls, investment invitations, promises of a radiant future, relationships that seem to be soul deep. You thought you were being lifted up, but in truth you were being lifted off the ground, losing connection with your true source, me. Promises that do not come from me will never hold you in safety. They are like clouds without rain, grand to the eye, traveling far, yet unable to nourish the parched earth beneath. There is an image I want you to remember. In Judges chapter 11, there was a man named Jephthah. Before going to battle, he vowed to me a heavy vow that if he won, he would offer as a burnt offering whatever first came out of his house to meet him. Victory came, but the first to come out was his own daughter. Do you see? A careless vow, even to me, can break the heart. Jephthah was not deceived by the world, but by the shallowness within himself. You, meanwhile, are being led by the world's sweet words, unaware they are only hollow echoes in a valley where God is absent. My child, every time you place your trust in something without asking me, you are sending your soul into a strange land. The world will not lie to you crudely. It needs only to make you believe something slightly off. Just a little off is enough to veer from my will. You may find yourself busy, successful, even prominent, yet your soul quietly withers, for it is not watered by the living word. A tree does not die the moment it lacks water, but it loses color, then starts to break and finally withers while no one notices. I do not forbid you to dream, nor do I prohibit you from building a future. I grieve only when you seek these things where I am not. Empty promises do not kill you at once. They set you adrift, consume your years, and trade your peace for a fragile delight. And when the dream shatters, you do not know where to turn. I am there still where I have always been, but your heart has been entrusted to things you yourself do not fully understand. Remember, my child, not everything that sounds good comes from truth. Not every light leads to heaven. Not every beautiful dream is one I have sown into your heart. Some things are good but not meant for you. Some opportunities are favorable but not from me. You must learn one thing to distinguish between the loud echo outside and the quiet word within. My voice is not clamorous, but it is enough for your soul to find true life again. Do not waste the best of your days on things that will vanish like smoke. Begin again by saying to me, Lord, do not let me trust what merely polishes the surface. Give me courage to release empty vows, that I may hold to your eternal promise. When you say this, I will come not to sweep away every trial, but to lead you back to the true stream, and where living water flows life will be. I do not accuse you for having believed amiss, but I plead with you, do not continue to stray. What you seek is not hidden in human promises, it is found in my word made flesh. He is the one who promises, and he himself fulfills, never breaking his word, never arriving late, never withdrawing what he has spoken. When you choose to return, I will teach you to listen to what is true, so that amid 1,000 noises you still recognize my voice. And precisely, when your soul begins to grow quiet, no longer chasing empty words, you will realize the greatest battles are not from without, but the silent struggles within the mind. There is a kind of warfare where no blood is seen and no screams are heard, yet its aftermath runs deeper than any massacre. It is the battle in the mind. My child, there are days you smile outwardly while inside a thick gray cloud settles. You act as if all is normal, yet within a quiet voice is tearing your faith apart. That voice manipulates you not with chains, but with thoughts that seem harmless. We often fear enemies outside, forgetting the enemies hidden in our own heads. They do not come like wolves, they come like seeds. A hint of doubt, a quick comparison, a few self-accusing lines, a small pulse of envy, all sown in moments of weakness. If not uprooted, those seeds take root not merely in your thoughts, but in your nature. Then you no longer act from life, but from a shadow you do not fully understand. You think only overt sin is wrong, but my child, ungoverned thoughts have led many to the precipice. I remember Cain, the first to kill his brother. Before his hand lifted a stone, Cain's heart was already full of anger, envy, and shame. I warned him, sin is crouching at the door. Its desire is for you, but you must rule over it. Genesis 4:7. He did not listen, and the first death in humanity began with an unprocessed thought. You often ask, why am I not joyful? Why do I feel unsafe? Why am I quick to anger, slow to trust, easily wounded? This is not random. Your mind is being led step by step. The enemy need not destroy you at once, only steer your thinking. Little by little, it will bind you with your own cords. Negative thoughts do more than tire you. They shape your choices, your posture, and even your definition of yourself. And then you live not as I made you, but as a distorted copy of your injuries. I know at times you do not want to be like this, but because you have not yet learned to present every thought to me, you let them grow on their own like weeds. I do not fault you for having feelings, but I desire that you not let feelings rule. Learn to pause when anger rises, bow low when pride swells, and be silent to hear me when envy or suspicion surrounds you. Only then will you cease to be a victim of your own mind. You cannot choose how feelings arrive. but you can choose what remains. When a thought comes, ask, does this come from the Father? Does this thought bring life or destruction? Does it open my heart or close it down? If you will practice this before long, your mind will be refined, and your heart will rest in the problictus, light. Do not let your heart be soil, where every negative thing may lodge. Let it be a place I may enter unhindered by the fog of doubt. My child, there are times I draw near very gently only to ask you a question. Why are you sad? Why do you think you are of little worth? Why do you trust human voices more than mine? If you will sit and listen to that question within you will. See, some pains do not come from others wounding you, but from believing false words repeated in your mind for far too long. If the negative roots have sunk deep, I am not afraid to pull them with you. Though it hurts, I will uproot them one by one. I do not want you to live a life of constant defense, self-protection, and suspicion. I want you to live as one set free, unfettered, clear-eyed, full of faith and love. But this begins only when you consent to search your heart and let me enter every dark corner of your mind. When the barricades within you begin to fall and you allow me to touch the deepest wound, then healing will begin. You do not need to change everything in a day, but each day let me touch one region of thought, and I will do the rest. I am not only the healer of the body, I am the healer of a mind manipulated and torn day by day. And as your mind is cleansed by my word, you will find you no longer need the small compromises that only serve to soothe yourself. Some cracks do not appear because the rock is too soft, but because the rain has fallen for too long. The fault is not in one great fall, but in the small stumbles from which you chose not to rise. You do not tell a brazen lie, you merely soften the truth a little. You do not entirely avoid me, you are simply not ready to pray today. You do not plunge into sin, you only allow yourself a brief indulgence. But it is precisely these tiny allowances, my child, that become the silent cuts along the moral skin of the soul. Compromise never arrives like a wild beast tearing down the door. It comes like a deft friend offering reasonable arguments. No one is perfect. You're tired, what's the harm? It's just a small thing, it won't affect anything. And so you douse the flame of prayer, you step back from discipline, you let sin drop by like an acquaintance and stay on as the master of the house. I do not blame you for opening the door. I only grieve that you did not foresee the cost of letting it linger so long. In 1 Kings 11, I gave King Solomon a wisdom no one had ever known. Yet that very man let small compromises rule his heart. He did not abandon me at once. He married foreign women and gradually followed their gods. That phrase, gradually, is the deepest sorrow. Sin does not need to conquer you in a day. It only needs your consent in part, then a little more. By the time you notice, your heart belongs to another temple and is no longer my sanctuary. I hear you say, I haven't done anything big. I still love God, just today. But loving me is measured less by how many offerings you keep than by how many self-indulgences you refuse. Each time you keep silent before a small sin, your conscience grows dim like a mirror filmed with fog. At first it still reflects, then it warps what it shows. Over time you no longer discern what is holy and what is merely gray. And I understand why you are weary. At times it is your fear of grieving me that makes you hide from me. You think, if I've already failed, I might as well give in. No, my child. I am not seeking perfection. I am seeking a tender heart. I am not waiting for a spotless resume. I am waiting for one who knows they need to be made clean. Do not hide me from your weak moments. Call me precisely when compromise beckons. I do not reject those who are fighting to keep their hearts whole no matter how many times they fall. A conscience does not die in a day it dims as you choose silence toward familiar sins. But I can kindle the light again if you will let me touch the most sensitive place. You may feel ashamed, empty, powerless, but do not fear. In me there is no condemnation, only a hand ready to draw you out of the mire inch by inch and set your feet again upon the rock. And my child, do not let small sins make you treat lightly the great sacrifice I made on the cross. My blood was not shed so you might be nicer than other people, but so you might live holy as a child of the King. You may not change the world, but begin by refusing the compromises no one sees. In heaven no one will ask what great deeds you did, but I will see every secret no, and I will call it glory. When you begin to refuse the little things the world calls normal, your spirit will regain its sensitivity. You will hear me more clearly, sense what delights me, and know the boundaries you must keep. Then you will find that what once attracted you has faded to a pale shadow, for your heart has found its true joy in obedience. And precisely as you learn to refuse the small, you will grow strong enough not to collapse when loneliness knocks or when the community around you is no longer what it was. Some fires go out not for lack of fuel, but because they are no longer set near other embers. So it is with your soul. It does not grow cold for one moment of weakness, but because it has stood too long outside the embrace of those who share your faith. I did not fashion you to live as an island. I placed you in a people in seeing eyes that know how to ache, in hands that know how to lift, in voices that sing the same prayers. But you wandered away, and in that very silence temptation began to probe for a breach. I know there are times you are tired. Times when the community disappoints you, indifference, careless words, nameless wounds that make you retreat. You arrive late to worship, leave early, and then stop coming at all. You say, I still love God, I just don't fit with anyone. But child faith does not grow in isolation. It grows in friction, in service, in mutual upholding. No one can keep a holy fire burning while sitting alone in the dark. Let me remind you of a story few. Notice Elijah, the mighty prophet who once called fire down from heaven, 1 Kings 18. After one threat from Queen Jezebel, he fled into the wilderness, and in his fear he said, Lord, I am no better than my ancestors. Take my life. Isolation made the strongest become the weakest. Only when an angel brought him bread, and he was restored for a new journey with a people, was Elijah's ministry brought to completion. Do not be like Elijah, mighty on the battlefield, but undone by solitude. Do not believe the lie that I am enough on my own. Sin shouts loudest in empty places. In isolation, temptations go unchallenged, thoughts go unexamined, and gradually you accept what is wrong as what is permissible. I did not design a self-serving faith. I called you to belong to a body where every member lives because it is joined to the others. You may think you are mature enough to need no one, but true maturity teaches you that you always need others, not out of weakness, but by my design. When you worship alone, you easily sidestep correction. When you pray alone, you easily indulge your feelings. But in the arms of brothers and sisters, they hold you when you want to quit, lift you when you fall, and remind you of me when you forget the light. I do not want you to come to church as a habit. I want you to belong to a community, not as a guest, but as one born to live among them. Seek a place that makes you hunger for my word, not merely a place that helps you feel better than others. If you have been hurt, I understand, but I want you to forgive, be healed, and return to become a healer of the wounded. The community is not perfect, but in that very imperfection I am at work. Then you will find that as you return to the arms of the family of faith, your heart grows keen again, your will is strengthened, and faithfulness is no longer a strain. It becomes a joy to guard. Like a soldier standing in the ranks, you will no longer be easily ambushed from behind, for watchmen stand with you. My child, I have waited so long to see you seated among those I love, to hear your voice rise with theirs, to watch your eyes brighten when my word is proclaimed. Do not remain outside. Do not isolate yourself under the pretense of a lonely steadfastness. Faithfulness is not born in the dark corner. It is born in the resonance of souls burning together. For only then, when you stand firm within the embrace of your brothers and sisters, temptation, though it comes, cannot pierce you. You no longer stand alone. Beloved child, I know every sigh that stirs the depths of your heart. I see you when you bow your head in the dark, when tears fall that no one notices, when your heart is heavy with what seems impossible to overcome. I know each moment of self-reproach, every instant you feel inadequate, unworthy, not as strong as you hoped. Yet even in those moments that look like weakness, I see in you the light of resilience, a light you have not yet recognized. You are not abandoned, not forgotten, never outside my arms. I am there in the storm, in the heavy silence that seems endless, in the days when you think no one hears your prayers. I am there still, quiet, patient, waiting to raise you up and to breathe the warmth of hope into your wearied heart. My dear child, the trials that await you are not random, nor are they meant to break you. They have been set upon your path like jewels hidden in the mud, waiting to be honed until they shine. Each hardship you face is not a punishment, but an invitation to draw nearer to your own strength and nearer to my love. You will meet resistance, be misunderstood, and encounter circumstances that make you want to let go. But do not be afraid, for within every storm lies the chance to discover that you can swim, to learn that when your fragile hands clasp mine, they are strong enough to carry you through every wave and gale. You may not see the way clearly, or know what the future will unfold, but I want you to remember, this faith is not about seeing clearly. It is about trusting even when nothing is visible. Whenever your faith trembles, know that I am refining your soul as fire refines gold, not to destroy it, but to burn away the dross, so that what is pure may appear. Do not fear the heat of that flame, for it is the very fire that makes you luminous, that makes you stronger and more true. Beloved child, let me tell you of the wonder worked in those who once stood where you stand. Now they too wept, they too were afraid, they too doubted themselves. Yet they did not stop. They went on step after trembling step, and each step was guided by the light of faith. In time they came to see that behind every wound and beyond every long dark night, there was an unseen hand leading them. There was a heart still beating in love for them. So it is with you whenever you come to a crossroads held between choice and hesitation, between trust and fear. I want you to pause and draw a deep breath. In that very stillness, I am with you. You will hear the small whisper within your heart that is me saying, "Do not be afraid, you are not alone. Let me be your strength when you are weak, your peace amid uncertainty, the resting place for your head when no one else seems to understand." Do you know this? It is precisely when you fall that I bend closest to you. It is exactly when you think you have lost everything that I am preparing to place in your hands something more precious. You imagine I love you because you do right, but no, I love you even when you are wrong, when you are lost, when you are down. My love is not founded on what you do, but on who you are, for you are mine. Though you have failed, been rejected by the world, and even despised yourself in my eyes, you remain a gem that has not lost its worth, in need only of the dust of the past to be gently wiped away. Child, do not let the enemy's words sow fear and despair in your mind. It tells you that you are useless, abandoned, that all your effort is meaningless. But I speak differently. I say you have worth, you have purpose, you have a place in my design that only you can fill. Every breath you draw and every beat within your chest is proof that I have never forsaken you. You are still being kept and still being led, even when you do not always notice. You may ask why I allow you to suffer, why I do not clear the thorns from your road. Beloved child, if I removed every hardship, your soul would never learn the might that lies within you, nor would it ever plumb the depths of the love I bear for you. I do not tell you that you will never hurt, but I promise that in every ache I will be with you, so that no pain is ever without meaning. Regard each wound as a witness to your growing, as scars prove you have fought, endured, and lived. Your trials are not walls that block your way, but doors opening onto new lands of the soul. Let every stumble become a lesson in perseverance, every tear a seed of compassion, and every moment of weakness a chance to learn how to lean on my strength. One day you will look back and smile, realizing that all that once hurt you became the very thing that made you who you are: resilient, understanding, and able to love more deeply. My child, this season of refining may be long and severe, but it is as necessary as rain to parched ground. Do not close your heart, do not hide your pain. Bring it all to me. I do not demand perfection. I ask for truth. Truth with yourself, truth with your fear, truth with the cracks within your soul. For only when you dare to face what is broken can I bind it and turn it into windows for the light to pass through. You need not flee the darkness, for darkness cannot endure when you carry my light within you. Beloved, remember, there is no night so long that dawn cannot arrive, and when the sun of hope breaks, you will find yourself changed, not the old self of confusion, but a soul refined, clear, steadfast, and full of love. Then you will understand why I allowed you to walk through hard days, not to hurt you, but to make you one who lifts others, one who knows the meaning of compassion, one who has learned that no matter how harsh life becomes, love is the one thing that endures forever. And when you grasp this, I know the refining has succeeded, for you have not merely survived, you have been transformed. My beloved child, remember that every word you speak is a seed sown into the hearts of those who hear. Some seeds will blossom into fruit, while others will bring forth only thorns and bitterness. Never take words lightly, they echo from your soul and paint the canvas of your inner life in every shade. When your words flow from a heart filled with love and peace, they become cool streams that soothe the thirst of weary spirits. But when they rise from anger, pride, or unhealed wounds, they cut like a blade that tears another's soul and leaves you bleeding from the very wound you made. Learn then to be silent when your heart is not at rest, for in stillness I can whisper and lead you to healing. Silence is not weakness. It is the strength of one who knows that the moment to speak can matter more than the words themselves. Let your mouth become an instrument of light, not sounding with the world's clamor, but lifting a harmony of truth, kindness, and hope. Every word you utter can touch the deepest layers of another's soul and awaken the good that seemed to have withered. Do not forget, a simple encouragement can raise up a spirit about to collapse. A sincere apology can mend cords once severed, and a thank you born of the heart can brighten someone's darkest day. Let your words be bridges of love, not walls of judgment. Child, attend to the currents of thought that slip through your mind. Every idea bears a hidden power, either a lamp to guide your steps or a fire that consumes. Do not let negativity take root, for once a bad seed is watered with worry and fear, it grows into a thicket that leads your soul astray. Keep watch over your mind as a gardener tends a garden. Pull up the weeds of resentment, enrich the soil of gratitude. When you notice what is harmful within, do not be afraid or deny it. Bring it to me. I do not accuse, I heal. In the very moment you dare to face the darkness in your heart, my light spreads and transforms you from within. Never forget that the greatest enemy of the soul is not another person, but the toxic thoughts you nurture. Envy steals your peace, anger blinds your mind, and pride draws you away from me without your knowing. Yet, my child, if you will bow in humility, if you will stop and call upon my name in your frailty, I will lift you up. True strength is not that you never fall, but that you always know how to return. Remember that in every storm of life, prayer is the safest refuge. It is not a dry ritual or memorized lines, but the breath of the soul when you dare to lay bare what is hidden, to admit your limits, and to let me enter. When you pray, you do more than speak. You open the door of your heart for me to come in and warm its coldest corners. Do not wait until desperation to pray, for prayer is not a life buoy only in peril. It is the cord that keeps your soul bound to the source of life. Whenever you feel drained, come to me with simple prayers. You need no ornate words, only a sincere heart. Tell me about the fear that robs your sleep, the dream you have not yet dared pursue, the wounds you conceal behind your smile. I hear every whisper, I understand every tear, and I will answer in ways you do not expect, perhaps through a friend's consoling message, perhaps through the touch of morning light upon your cheek, or simply through a quiet peace that settles after you pray. Child, love as though you have never been hurt, for true love does not depend on another's perfection. It flows from the inexhaustible well of love that is in me. Do not love only when you are loved back. Do not be kind only to win. Praise for genuine love is a spring that keeps running, whether or not anyone drinks. When you learn to love unconditionally, you will discover that in giving your soul is set free. People think loving is to hold fast, but in truth, loving is to let go, to release the self and its demands until only generosity and compassion remain. Practice forgiveness, dear child. Forgiveness does not excuse another's wrong. It grants your own heart the chance to be healed. Every resentment you keep is an invisible chain binding your soul. Only when you truly let go does your heart become free. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It is choosing not to let the past rule the present. And in forgiving you, become like me, for I have forgiven you more times than you could ever count. Serve in quiet love and humility. Do not wait to be seen, for the gaze you lift toward heaven is your true reward. When you do good without seeking a name for yourself, you kindle the world with my flame. A gentle word, a small deed, a timely embrace, any of these may become a miracle in someone's life. My child, the world can be cold, but if the light of love still burns within you, you will never lose your way. Keep your heart tender amid a hardened world. Keep your soul clear amid the murky flow of life. The most precious thing is not what you achieve, but that you have kept your kindness after many wounds. Let all you do become a song of praise to the one who formed you, not with a voice alone, but with the very life you live. When you love, forgive, pray, and live in truth, you are building a kingdom of peace within your own heart, and from that place the light will spread, touching souls who are seeking their way in the dark. My child, do not fear loneliness, for I am in every breath you take. Do not fear failure, for I turn your falling into the chance for you to grow. Do not fear loss, for there is nothing you surrender that I cannot repay with a grace far greater. My child, slow your pace, listen more deeply, love more generously. Let each of your days become a lesson in maturing within grace. When you stumble, remember that I never depart. I am waiting there amid the ruins to gather you in, to wipe your tears, and to teach you to stand again on the legs of faith. And when you look upon the world and see so much injustice and brokenness, do not despair. Let your life become my answer to the pain of this age. Let your words, your gaze, and your actions bear witness to a love that does not change. When you live so, your whole life becomes an unceasing prayer, a prayer not only with words, but with your very breath, with every step you take, with every beat of your heart. Beloved child, do not forget, I desire not only that you believe in me, but that you become like me. Let everything you say, every thought you cherish, and every work of your hands be steeped in my love, my humility, and my light. For this is the way into true freedom and true peace, the place where your soul finds rest within my everlasting arms. My child, I go on calling your name with gentleness and resolve, for I know the battlefield does not lie out there, but begins within, where thoughts alight and linger, where desires seem harmless, yet slowly guide your hands and steps. Be watchful at that threshold. Whatever muddies your heart, dims your mind, or drains your peace, bring it to the light, set it beneath the fire of truth, and if it cannot stand, release it. Do not wait for it to grow before you cut it off, for small roots, while still soft, are far easier to pull. And to discern what is real, do not lean on public opinion or on the tides of feeling, but return to the word I have given. For that word is no dry page. It is an underground spring, a weapon for the fight, a map that sketches every turn through the thickets of desire and illusion. When you place that living word upon your tongue, within your mind, and amid your breathing, you are clothing yourself with an invisible armor no blade can pierce. The ancients warned you not to let this world press you into its mold, but to be renewed in your thinking, to be transformed in your seeing. And this renewal is not wrought by naked willpower, but by letting truth soak in. Each time you ponder, learn by heart, and speak good aloud, even while being tugged toward its opposite, you are drawing on the strength that has shattered the chains of sin. Remember, temptation rarely arrives like a hammer. It taps at the door with the faintest knock, a small excuse, a moment of private permission, a discreet indulgence. Yet these tiny concessions are the cracked window through which the dark slides in a finger, then an arm, then its whole frame. Do not despise the small, for small accrues to great, and the drip that falls unceasingly bores through stone, instead of waiting until matters grow. Grave, train, a holy reflex. Notice early, confess early, cut off early, replace early. I earnestly invite you into a gentle discipline in the morning before the world grows noisy and tugs at your sleeve. Open your heart to the living word. Do not read in haste, as if paying a duty. Taste it, chew it. Let its syllables melt slowly in your meditation. You may write down a phrase that stirs you and ask your own soul, what does this say about the one who loves me? What light does it cast upon the habit I just clung to? Then through the day, when busy, return to that phrase as you would touch a stone kept in your pocket, letting it reorient your steps. In the evening before sleep, review your path. Where did you choose the good? Where did you miss? What was the root? How will you replace it next time? Self-examination is not for self-torment, but for wisdom. And yoke this examine to grace. If you erred, say so without defense. And having said it, receive forgiveness as cool water to a thirsty throat. Do not sit by the mud puddle of self-reproach, only to meet tomorrow, already winded. The quicker you rise, the harder it is for chains to hold you. Alongside your secret place, do not withdraw from community. A coal pulled from the hearth goes cold quickly, and a soul pulled from communion grows dull. Seek companions of truth, brothers and sisters, who can encourage and also correct, who can sit in silence with you and also speak at the right time. When you are weak, their prayers lift you. When you are unclear, their wisdom opens a path. And when you grow proud, their candor brings you back to earth. Yet do not idolize anyone, for all are still on the way. What you learn in community is patience and forgiveness. Two habits that blunt the enemy's spear. It would sow division, so choose unity. It would plant suspicion, so believe the best. It would drive comparison, so practice gratitude. It would demand retribution in the name of fairness, so choose mercy. Each time you decide in the direction of love, the battle line shifts toward the light. In the digital pace of modern life, you will meet lures of a subtler kind, notifications that shatter focus, endless feeds that whet the hunger for approval, constant comparisons that make you forget your particular graces. Do not let your soul become a billboard hung along every road. Set healthy borders, power down at a chosen hour schedule, intervals of quiet. Limit casual scrolling and trade it for deeper encounters. Discipline does not kill delight. It is the fence within which the garden truly blooms. When desire surges, try one step back, count to 10, breathe deep, walk for a few minutes, call a trusted friend, speak aloud, a verse you have learned. Many impulses are disarmed by small pauses, and if you slip, do not turn a scratch into a cut. Stop at once, turn at once, do not mutter, "Well, I've already failed, what's one more?" The deceiver's snare is to stretch one lapse into a chain. My snare for the deceiver is to turn one honest recognition into a new beginning. When voices rise in your mind after a failure, learn to discern them. Healthy reproof targets the deed and opens a way to healing. Toxic condemnation targets your being and bolts the door of hope. The healthy voice is concrete, light yet keen. You spoke harshly. Next time choose gentleness and silence when anger flares. The toxic voice is hazy yet heavy. You are worthless. Every effort is pretense. Drive that toxic voice from the house of your heart. It is a lie, dressed in piety. But to the healthy voice, say, "I admit it. I desire to change. I ask for help." Humility is armor without a gap for either the lance of pride or the arrow of self-contempt. The humble do not deny fault, nor do they embrace fault as their identity. They place everything into the hands of the one who can turn ashes into a new furrow of earth. Do not neglect gratitude, for thanksgiving opens a climate of clean air. Each day name 3 small graces: a cup of warm water, an unprompted smile, a cloud unexpectedly beautiful. As you learn to look for the good, your soul grows less thirsty for praise and less itchy with comparison. Gratitude opens the door to generosity, and generosity stretches a heart that often shrinks for fear of lack. Giving your time, your talent, and your substance within your means weakens the selfish whisper and teaches you that provision flows not from a clenched fist, but from an open hand. The adversary cannot abide your giving, for it speaks only the language of hoarding. The more freely you give, the farther it retreats. Do not think the living word exists only to be displayed in memory. Bring it onto the field. You need no grand deed to prove its power. The wonder lies in small choices, telling the truth when it costs refusing gossip, though it pleases the ear, paying what is just, though no one compels you, looking on others with a clear gaze, though the crowd urges judgment. Each small act is a brick, set rightly, and in time a house stands firm. When you feel dry in your reading, change the practice. Hand copy a short passage as the compass for this week. Place it where your eyes often fall. Read it aloud, so ear may teach heart. Pose questions and write answers. Measure it against ordinary life, and do not walk alone. Share what you learn with someone. Pray a brief prayer for one another. Shared practice rekindles the flame. There will be storm seasons even when you did not mean to go wrong. Trials are not always punishments. Sometimes they are training for the muscles of the spirit. On days of high wind, lower the proud mast, drop anchor in the promises, speak less. Keep more silence for prayer. Do what is right in plain sight, even when your feelings rebel. You will see dawn may come late, but it still comes. What remains after the storm is wood made more supple. Endurance is not meaningless when it is tied to a purpose greater than yourself. Like a seed buried in dark soil that still works in secret, your quiet faithfulness is preparing fruit for harvest. I want you to learn the art of rest. Rest is not laziness, it is trust. Trust that the world keeps turning while you pause, that your worth is not measured by output, that a healthy rhythm lets the soul hear clearly. Consecrate your pauses, walk beneath the trees, read a page that nourishes the heart, speak honestly with your kin, laugh, a wholesome laugh. True rest, in its proper place, blocks the temptation to numb yourself with harmful distractions. The tempter loves to exploit fatigue to sell instant fixes. Once you are recharged, the cheap invitations lose their pull. Practice the habit of naming your desires truthfully. Often you think you want power when what you need is safety. You think you crave riches when what you thirst for is recognition. You think you chase pleasure when what you long for is to be loved. When you name the mark, you can seek the right source, and that source is not found in what is passing. You may honor a gift without turning it into an idol. Use every blessing like a good steward, able to receive, to share, and to return it when the time comes. Whoever can stop at enough will not be dragged into the endless whirl of more, and that is a freedom of great price. Guard the gateways of your senses, eyes, ears, mouth, hands, feet. What your eyes gaze upon long will draw you after it. What your ears listen to much will dye your mind. What your mouth keeps declaring will build the world around you. What your hands keep touching will harden into habit. Where your feet keep treading will become your path. Ask before each choice, does this build up or erode the good? If it erodes, have the courage to change course. Courage is not the absence of fear, but fearing in the right places and acting on what is right despite your fear. Bravery is fed by quiet decisions. Today's small scars are the proof of tomorrow's victories. And when you find yourself circling the same fault again and again, do not despair, dig deeper. What lies beneath loneliness? Wounds, distorted memories, patterns learned long ago. Seek help if you need it, a spiritual guide, a mature friend, even a therapist. Support is a gift, not a mark of lack. The deceiver wants you to suffer alone so he can magnify fear. But when you speak, the dark loses ground. Transparency opens the way to healing. You will see that some chains take time to loosen the final link, yet each loosened link is a small rite worth singing over. My child, order your days with a sacred rhythm, a time to learn, a time to pray, a time to work, a time to rest. Set the frame so freedom can bloom within it. Each week, sit for a couple of hours and look straight at the road ahead. Which thoughts did you let dwell too long? What doors did you open to compromise? What doors did you close by courage? Whom did you love indeed? What did you avoid? Because one remembered line held you back. Write it down, adjust, continue. The enemy wins when you quit. You win when you keep going, even in small steps. Do not despise small steps, for a long road is woven from thousands of them. To sustain the journey, practice affirmations rooted in truth. At daybreak, you may speak aloud. Today I choose truth over convenience, purity in thought, faithfulness in little things, kindness in speech. I belong to love, so I do not fear lack. Do not repeat them like charms, but as one reminding herself of home. Passing through a temptation, say, I am not alone, help is with me. After a fall, say, I own my fault, I rise, I go on. Simple words, strong words, fastening you to what outlasts fleeting feelings. I know you sometimes ask why the struggle drags on. The answer is not to discourage you, but to awaken hope. You are being shaped into a mature heart, able to love, without clinging to be strong, without hardness to be gentle, without weakness. This is the beauty. The darkness most envies. It cannot create it, only disrupt it. But if you keep your eyes on the source of light, take the living word as your compass, community, as your teammates, discipline, as your fence, gratitude, as your torch, kindness, as your strategy, humility, as your armor, prayer, as your breath, then, no matter how many times the winds shift, you will make the right harbor. Do not wait for perfect conditions to begin. Begin in the very midst of things. Do not wait for your feelings to agree before you choose the good. Choose what is right, and your feelings will learn to follow. Do not wait to stop being afraid before you are brave. Be brave while you still tremble. Courage is born of placing your feet on the ground of truth, and that ground is firmer than you think. Therefore, beloved child, now place your hand upon your chest and listen to the beat that says you still have a chance. Decide to guard your thoughts like a gatekeeper on the city wall, to trade lies for what is true, to turn the mind in a new direction by watering it each day. Leave the tables that leave your soul weary, and sit at the table set by love where truth is, the food grace, the drink, and peace the dessert. Walk light but sure, little but steady. Say what needs saying, do what needs doing, ask what needs asking, release what needs releasing. And when night falls again, you will find yourself still standing, not because you are so capable, but because you have learned to lean on what cannot be shaken. Tomorrow you will go on for goodness. Does not grow tired, and I, the one who calls you by name, do not grow weary of leading you to where you are truly free, truly loved, truly alive, in a changing world that no longer sweeps you away. So then, my beloved child, in the days to come, keep your soul as a faithful watchman keeps a lamp in the night. Do not let the winds of the world snuff out the light of peace within you. Keep your heart soft, yet steadfast, humble, yet strong, so that though the waves may rise, you stand firm in my presence. When your heart turns back to me, you will see that peace is not the absence of storms, but the power to stand within them with a quiet heart. Hope is not far off. It is the small ember glowing within which I fan into flame whenever you feel spent. The light I have placed in you never goes out, however deep the night, so long as you keep turning toward me, and you will see the way again. Remember, nothing you face falls outside my providence. At times I allow you to walk thorny stretches not to wound you, but so you may learn the worth of peace when it comes. Every tear you shed I know, every sigh in silence I hear. Do not think I am far, for I am in each heartbeat and the breath you draw each dawn. When you feel most alone, then I am nearest. Be still, and you will sense my warmth around you, like morning light touching the earth after a long night. Do not fear your weakness, for in that very weakness my strength is shown. Let me be your refuge. Do not seek comfort in what quickly fades. The world can offer a moment's delight. Only I give a joy that endures, a joy not bound to circumstance, unmoved by rise and fall. The more you trust in me, the more you will see that outside turmoil cannot seize the peace within. You will learn that true peace does not come from everything going your way, but from knowing you are loved, guided, and held in the hands of the one who never errs. Each morning place your day in my hands. Let me guide each step, each choice, each word. When you are weary, rest in me. When anxious, tell me. When glad, give thanks. I desire to walk with you in every moment, not only when you pray, but also while you work, while you walk the road, even amid your wandering thoughts. I am not apart from your life. I am the breath within it. And when you must face a trial, do not rush to escape it, for in trial you learn to grow in faith. A tree that would reach high must first drive its roots deep. A soul that would be strong must be tempered through hardship. I do not abandon you in the fire. I am there holding you, so you are not consumed but refined. You will discover that what you thought was loss becomes the opening to greater grace. Today's closures may be the very beginnings of the better I am preparing. Hold fast to gratitude even when things have not yet unfolded as you hoped. In gratitude, your heart opens to see my footprints in the smallest details. Be grateful for rain that comes in season, for an unlooked-for smile, for the warmth of a hand holding yours in the cold. Be grateful that I grant you another day to love, to forgive, to live more fully. Gratitude lets you behold the miracle within the ordinary and to recognize that every moment of life is a precious gift from me. My child, do not be swift to blame life when you meet what is crooked and contrary. Ask me instead what you can learn from it, for no pain is meaningless when it rests in my hands. I can turn tears into pearls, loss into opportunity, and ruins into the foundation for a new journey. You need only trust and keep faith. Do not look back on the past with regret, nor shrink from a future not yet come. Live this present moment to the full with a trusting heart, and you will see that I am at work in your life, sometimes hidden, sometimes bright as day. There will be times when the road before you is shrouded and you cannot tell whether to turn left or right. Do not be afraid, for I do not demand that you see the whole way. I invite you to walk it step by faithful step. Each step taken in trust is an answer to my love. Even before you see the outcome, believe that I am clearing the path, and when the hour arrives, everything will break open like dawn tearing the night. And when your heart grows frail and you long to give up, remember how I lifted you before, led you through the storm, and made the impossible possible. I am who I was, then unchanging, untiring, patient in waiting for your return. Do not accuse yourself when you stumble, for I do not seek perfection. I seek a true heart. Come to me in honesty, and I will receive you again as a child coming home after a long road. My child, let my love heal the wounds within you. Do not let the past imprison you in the shadows of guilt or grief. Let me dry your tears, shoulder your burdens, and give you a new beginning. Each day I call your name with a love that does not measure or condition. You are precious not because you are flawless, but because you are loved with a love that does not change. Therefore, in this week, slow your pace to hear my whisper in your heart. Amid the noise I still speak, if only you will pause and listen. Do not search for me far away, for I am present in each moment you live. When you choose love over resentment, forgiveness over revenge, compassion over closing your heart, you are nearer to me than ever. Beloved child, walk in my light so that every step becomes a witness to love and faithfulness. When you fall, rise. When you are weak, lean on me. When you are lonely, call my name, for I have promised never to leave you, nor let you walk this road alone, and I keep that promise forever. When you guard your heart and mind in me, you will know the miracle of peace. A peace no one can steal, a hope no one can quench, a light nothing can cover. Though the world shifts and human hearts grow cold, I remain still loving you, still waiting for you. Go on, my child, in faith, in hope, in a love that does not fade, for I, the living one who loves you with an everlasting love, am with you today, tomorrow, and always. Though Satan cannot force you to sin, he is a master of sweet whispers and clever suggestions, insinuating himself into the most fragile corners of the soul. He does not need to bind your hands. He only plants a small idea in your heart and leaves you to feed it with desires, self-justifying arguments, and unguarded moments. Therefore be alert and watch every thought like a sentinel on the wall. The enemy need not break the gate. If you leave a narrow chink in the mind, he will flood in like a torrent. The ancient Psalms teach, Lord, set a guard over my mouth. Keep watch at the door of my lips. And I add to you, set a guard over your heart as well, for there lies the true battlefield, where good and evil contend in holy silence. Every thought, every feeling, every small desire carries the power to shape your life. What you feed will grow, what you starve will wither. If you nourish your heart with what is holy, your soul will shine. If you cultivate sinful cravings, even with a glance or passing fancy, they will root sprout and rise like a poisonous tree bearing bitter fruit. Satan never comes with his own ugly face. He dresses himself in the beauty of reason, pleasure, and excuse. He tells you you're only curious, only trying a little, only wanting to see what it's like, but in those harmless little moments, the collapse begins. A single drop of resin can turn a clear jar bitter. A small spark can consume a quiet forest. Do not play with temptation. You were not born to bargain with the dark, but to live in the light. God does not call you to the cliff's edge to prove your strength. He calls you to step away from the brink. Look at Joseph, his faithful servant. When faced with the seduction of Potiphar's wife, he did not stay to demonstrate his strength. He fled, knowing the human heart is not an impregnable fortress, but an open field that can catch fire at any time. Wisdom is found not in standing bravely within danger, but in keeping far from it. Fleeing is not cowardice. It is the act of one who knows to whom he belongs. Whenever your inner sense speaks and your soul whispers, "This place is not safe," trust that voice. Do not toy with sin. Do not linger merely to look or to taste a fleeting thrill. For the moment you permit yourself, just this once invisible chains have begun to close around you. Run and seek refuge in God. He is your stronghold and steady arm, the one place Satan cannot reach. Prayer is the door to your escape. When temptation makes your breath heavy and your mind fills with murky whispers, call his name at once. No long prayer is required, only a cry from deep within, "Lord, save me," and his light will pierce the dark. Each time you call, a chain breaks. Every prayer is a sharp sword cutting through the devil's schemes. When you speak his word, the enemy trembles. When you recall God's promises, the shadows retreat. Satan knows he cannot remain where the name is present, for at the first flash of light the night dissolves. But remember, child, prayer is not only words in panic, it is the steady breath of the soul. As a flame needs oil, your spirit needs the word in union with God. Neglect prayer, and your soul will dry, and in that drought temptation roots with ease. Learn to live awake so that every thought and every act reflects his presence. When you walk, walk with God. When you speak, speak in his spirit. When you are silent, let that silence be filled with the peace of the Holy Ghost. Often temptation comes not with a loud call, but with a counterfeit calm that lulls you, persuading you that you are safe, while slowly drawing you from God's embrace. Thus, watchfulness is not only for perilous hours, but a way of life, a durable alertness. As a farmer plucks weeds while they are young, so must your soul uproot false thoughts at their first sprout. Do not wait until sin has grown to beg for deliverance, for by then its roots grip deep. You must wage the battle within your thoughts, where the front line truly lies. Each time you choose light over darkness, prayer over judgment, forgiveness over resentment, you defeat Satan once again. This struggle is not only out there, but within your heart. No one else can guard your soul for you. I can give strength and light and word, but you must stand watch at the door of your heart. You will discover that guarding your soul is not only avoiding sin, but preserving the purity in which God can dwell. When you nourish your spirit with prayer, gratitude, and the small daily fidelities, your soul becomes a garden where temptation cannot take root. Love holiness as you love your very breath, for there you find me. When you fall, do not fear. Turn back, ask, and I will raise you up, but never remain. Where you fell, never linger in sin, for Satan longs to make you believe you have gone too far to be saved. That is his greatest lie. As long as you call on my name, I am near. When you choose to run toward the light, you conquer him with what he fears most, your faith. You will see that each step away from sin is a step toward freedom. True freedom is not doing whatever you want, but living unbound by what is evil. Choose that freedom. It is the gift I give you. Let your heart become my temple, a place where no whisper of darkness can slip in. When you learn to live in the light, you need not fear the night, for the light within you is stronger than any darkness around you. And remember this, my child, you do not fight alone. I am with you. I fight beside you, and no power can snatch you from my hand. When you pray, you not only resist Satan, you rebuild your soul brick by brick and breath by breath within the love I bear for you. Guard your thoughts, for thoughts lead to deeds. Keep your deeds, for deeds become habits. Keep your habits, for habits shape destiny. And through it all, I remain the one who keeps you in peace. My child, know that temptation does not come only from barren darkness, but also from faces that seem friendly, from sweet words that carry the venom of deceit. The enemy does not hide only in the night. It knows how to wear the form of light, using people, words, and circumstances to lead you away from the path of truth. Some will enter your life like a gentle breeze that appears to bring calm, yet in truth it is a poisoned wind that slowly snuffs out the flame of faith. Therefore, my child, be watchful and sober in spirit. Place your heart under my illumination, so you may discern what is from me and what is only the subtle snare of the dark. I do not call you to live in fear. I teach you to keep yourself with wisdom. Consider the lotus that rises from the mud. It is not defiled by the mire, for its roots are anchored in pure waters. So too with you stand in the world, yet do not belong to it. Love people, yet do not let your heart be bound by those who draw you away from the light. My child, my word has spoken across generations. Bad company corrupts good character. A good seed cannot grow in poisoned soil, just as your soul cannot remain pure while it continually absorbs what is false. Therefore be wise in choosing companions. Seek those who strengthen you in faith, who not only speak of me but live by my word. Seek souls that pray, that listen, and that lift you up when you fall. A true friend is not one who always agrees with you, but one who dares to point out your errors in love. The community of believers is a wall of protection around you, a place where your soul can rest and be renewed. In your weakness, they will raise you with intercession, with hands that are gentle yet firm. Do not remain alone, for isolation is fertile ground, where temptation multiplies. When you cut yourself off from community, you are like a sheep gone astray, easily prey for the wolves. But if you remain joined to my body, the church, you will find shelter, even in the midst of storms. My child, do not let your heart be swayed by voices that applaud indulgence. The world trumpets freedom, but it is a counterfeit freedom, one that leads you into the chains of sin. True freedom comes when you choose to walk within the boundaries of truth. You may hear 1,000 voices around you, yet only one voice will lead you into peace. My voice, discernment, is the gift I give, so that you may recognize what leads to life and what leads to death. Do not rush to decide, for the enemy knows how to make what is wrong appear right, how to paint sin in bright colors to deceive your spiritual sight. Train your soul in stillness, for only in silence will you hear my voice. Discernment is not innate power. It is the fruit of persevering search and union with me. Nourish it with the word, with prayer, and with humility before truth, even when truth wounds. Beloved child, clothe yourself in humility as armor for your soul. Humility does not make you weak. It makes you strong in a way the world cannot understand. The proud think they stand firm, yet arrogance makes them slip. The humble know that true strength is not in themselves, but in my companionship. Humility lets you see your limits and open your heart to grace. Do not fear weakness, for in weakness my power is made perfect. When you realize you cannot, I will accomplish what you thought impossible. Remember David, the one called a man after my own heart. Though he sinned, his repentance and humility restored him. He did not flee, he did not excuse himself. He bowed his head, sought cleansing, and returned to my embrace. So too with you, do not let shame or false pride keep you from coming back. When you humble yourself, you are lifted up. When you confess, you are healed. When you weep in contrition, I wipe your tears with mercy. My child, guard your heart as a sentinel guards a stronghold. The enemy does not always attack by force, but by cunning. It knows that a trace of pride is enough to fling the gates wide for sin to flood in. Be wary of praise, for it can lull the soul to sleep. Be cautious of success, for it can make you forget the giver. Learn from the wind, it is powerful because it knows when to blow and when to cease. So it is with humility, it is not weakness but strength under control. It teaches you to bow, so you may be raised; to be silent, so you may hear; to step back, so you may see the path clearly. When you keep a humble heart, you will no longer fear failure, for you will understand that failure is a way I teach you to grow. Nor will you be bewitched by victory, for you know that true glory is not yours but mine. Humility leads you to give thanks instead of boasting, to apologize, instead of justifying, to forgive instead of resenting. It makes you gentle yet resolute, vulnerable yet strong, small yet radiant. My child, walk by faith and not by fleeting feeling. The world will change, people will change, but my love does not change. In humility, you will see that everything I permit, joy and sorrow alike, carries a good purpose within it. Even when you do not understand, you can still trust. Even when you do not see, you can still step forward. This is true faith, confidence in the night. Nourish that faith daily with prayer, with gratitude, and with steadfast union with my word. Beloved child, the world outside will always be noisy, always pulling, always trying to make you forget my gentle whisper. Yet if you keep your heart still, I will speak to you. If you place me at the center, the chaos around you will not disturb the peace within. Live among people while keeping a heavenward heart. Walk amid the dust without letting it cling to your soul. In doing so, you will become a lamp in the night, a witness to love and truth. Do not seek perfection, seek faithfulness. Do not dream of fame, desire to live in my will. My child, remember that each day is a new chance to learn humility, to discern the good, and to love more deeply. Every person you meet is a lesson I send. The one who wounds you teaches patience. The one who betrays you teaches forgiveness. The one who helps you teaches gratitude. And the one who is indifferent teaches unconditional love. Learn to see me in all things, for when you recognize my presence in every moment, fear will lose its hold. Finally, my child, remember that I am not only your guide, but your father, your friend, your refuge. Let humility draw you closer to me each day. Let discernment keep you from evil. Let the community of believers hold you fast in loving arms, and let faith be the light upon your path. Live this way, and you will never be alone, whether in desert or tempest. For I, who love you with an everlasting love, am always with you, watching each breath and ever opening my arms to welcome you back into peace. Beloved child, carve this upon your heart like a flame lit in the long night. My word is not merely a voice that sounds without, but a life that flows within you, the steady heartbeat that keeps your soul from collapsing amid temptation, storm. Do not read the word as an ancient script alone. Let it become your breath, your lifeblood, the living water that refreshes the wilderness within. Each time you proclaim the word, heaven moves and darkness trembles. When you declare it is written, you are not repeating lines. You are clothing yourself with the power of the one who has conquered forever, sharing in the strength of the one whose speech called the universe into being. Therefore, do not answer temptation with fragile reason or shifting feeling. Let the word be the shining sword in your hand. The enemy may assail you with arguments, with doubt, with the cravings of the flesh or the mirage of passing glory, but only the word will silence it. When you speak the word, darkness recedes. When you stand in the word, you walk in light, and no power can wrench you from it. My word is not a burden but wings. When you lift it by faith, you rise from the land of fear into the place of peace, where in every silence you hear my heart. Remember this, the word not only shields you, it transforms you. It does not merely build a wall, it kindles a fire within. As you meditate on the word day by day, each verse and syllable falls like seed into the soil of your soul, germinating quietly and pushing up through the ruins of worry and sin, until one day you find flowers of peace and understanding where thorns once grew. Temptation will come, my child, and it will come often dressed in the sweetness of satisfaction or the soothing tone of excuses. But remember, only truth sets you free, and every promise not born of my word is a chain of gold, beautiful yet binding. When greed knocks, let the word remind you that true treasure is in me. When anger rises, let the word be the breeze that cools the fire within. When lust whispers, let the word cast its light so you may see the emptiness behind the allure. Do not think that your fight against sin is only a matter of willpower. No, my child, it is a spiritual battle, and your weapon is the Word. Conceal it in your heart, as a warrior hides a sword beneath his cloak. Learn to speak the Word in the solitude of loneliness, in the long night of trial, in the fear of the unknown. Each time you choose the Word over your emotions, you lay another stone in the foundation of faith. Each time you speak truth instead of complaint, you close the door the enemy seeks to pry open. Understand this: fasting is not merely abstaining from food. It is a profound lesson in self-mastery, in placing the soul above the body. When you fast, you say to your flesh, "You do not rule me, I rule you." In that moment your soul is set free, for you have learned not to be enslaved by what is earthly. When you humble yourself, I lift you up. When you refuse the small in order to seek the greater, I see your faithfulness and I rejoice. For I do not look for perfection of appearances, I look for a heart that knows humility, that knows to place me above all. My child, do not let fasting become a mask for vanity. If you do it to be seen, you have received your reward from mortals. But if you do it only to draw near to me, then I myself will reward you with my presence, a reward far beyond anything the eye can behold. The enemy fears the one who fasts, for when the soul grows stronger than the flesh, all its schemes dissolve like morning mist before the Sunday. Do not underestimate the power of a disciplined heart and a body that submits to the Spirit. In a world full of noise, people are easily led by sudden emotions and fleeting desires. But the one who knows how to pause, to refuse to listen to the voice within, is the one who walks in the power of the Holy Spirit. When you fix your gaze on the Word, fasting helps you hear more clearly. My whisper for the clamor of the world falls silent. In that stillness I speak. In your hunger you discover the true hunger of your soul, a hunger for truth, for love, for my presence. And when you feed on the Word, you are satisfied. My child, this world is not short of those who read the Word, but few are those who live in the Word. Many memorize its lines, but do not let the Word lay claim to them. They carry the Bible in their hands, yet do not allow it to carry them through the storm. Do not be like that. Let every syllable of mine be written upon the tablet of your heart, so that wherever you go, you carry me within. When you meet the suffering, let the Word in you become their consolation. When you meet the lost, let that Word shine through your eyes. Do not proclaim the Word only with your lips, but with your life. For the Word is alive when it is embodied in deeds of love, in patience, in forgiveness. Temptation never ceases, but when you stand in the Word, temptation becomes an occasion for my glory to be revealed. Each time you prevail over the flesh, you bear witness that my Word has power. Each time you choose humility over pride, love over resentment, patience over haste, in that very moment, my Word becomes living through you. And I rejoice, for you are not only a hearer, but a doer. My child, this journey is not easy, but do not be afraid. I do not only give the Word so that you may know, I am with you to help you do. When you are weak, come near to me. When you do not understand, ask me. When you are weary, rest in me. For I myself am the Word, and that Word became flesh, so you would know I understand all your frailty. I have known hunger, thirst, and temptation, so you would know you are not alone. When you fall, remember, what makes one righteous is not never falling, but rising again by grace, and continuing to walk in the Word. Remember this: the world may change, people may betray, feelings may fade, but my Word endures forever. When you anchor yourself in the Word, you will not be swept away by life's raging waves. Let the Word be the lamp for your feet, the shield that guards your soul, the spring that washes away all care. Nourish your faith by reading, hearing, and living in the Word each day. As you do, you will recognize that your strength does not flow from your own striving, but from the life that pours forth from me. Therefore, my child, love the Word. Cherish every moment you are taught, steeped and given utterance in that word. Do not fear when the world mocks your faith. Do not shrink back when you must go against the current, for you are walking the narrow road that leads to life. Let fasting become a discipline of love, not of duty. Let the word become a song, not a command. Let every prayer of yours be not only a request, but the breath of a soul longing to meet the one who loves it. Then you will see every trial is no longer a burden, but an opportunity to behold me more clearly. Every temptation is no longer a threat, but the very place where you witness the power of the word in your own life. And when you live, so the whole world will see the light within you, a light not from you, but from the word living in you. My child, hold fast to the word like an unfading treasure, for in that word you will find me. My beloved child, prayer is not merely a cry lifted in times of trouble. It is the breath of the soul, the heartbeat within the heart of faith. When you pray, it is not I who need your words. It is your own soul that needs this communion to live, to shine, and to be kept from the abyss of darkness. Prayer is the bridge between the finite realm of humanity and the boundless realm of the divine. It is the pure stream that waters the parched soil of your heart. Every prayer, however small, however trembling, is a seed of life. If sown in faith, it will grow into a tree of strength and blossoms of peace. When you pray, you speak to me, but you also speak to yourself that you are not alone, that there is still a guiding light, that an unseen hand still upholds you whenever you fall. Know this, my child, prayer is not a string of dry arranged phrases, not a ritual repeated to soothe the conscience, but an honest conversation, the sighing of the soul, the tears that fall in silence, yet I still hear and understand. Do not wait until desperation to pray, for that is like seeking a well only after thirst has set your throat ablaze. Let prayer become the habit of your heart, like a child who breathes, without needing to remember that he breathes. In every rhythm of life, work, rest, or solitary stillness, turn your heart toward me, that my presence may cover you like a mantle of peace. When temptation comes, when waves of doubt rise like a storm, do not resist in your own strength, for your strength is finite. Kneel within your heart. You need not be in a sacred place, for right where you stand, you may whisper, "Lord, save me." In that very moment of weakness, prayer becomes an impenetrable shield, a ring of light, guarding your soul from the claws of darkness. I do not promise that you will never fall, but I promise that if you pray, you will not fall without being lifted up. For prayer not only prevents the fall, it heals, it raises it, renews the fractured soul. Understand that the nature of sin is always a cunning disguise. It rarely appears in ugliness, but often wears the glittering cloak of pleasure, of freedom, of hollow promises. Sin does not arrive with a savage roar, but with a sweet whisper. It does not coerce you, but entices you through the very desires of your heart. Yet beneath that alluring veneer lies the abyss of loss, loneliness, and regret. When you behold the true face of sin, you will see that all its promises are warped reflections. Pride speaks of strength, but is only the weakness that fears being forgotten. Greed borrows the name of aspiration, but is the emptiness that can never be filled. Anger poses as righteousness, but is the fire that consumes the very heart that bears it. You must learn to see through these illusions, not with your eyes, but with your spirit. When knowledge is illumined by faith, you will no longer be deceived by counterfeit glitter. The enemy need not steal your strength. He need only make you forget the true worth of holiness. A soul that knows the cost of sin will not easily trade its peace for a fleeting moment of pleasure. My child, never believe the whisper that says, "Just this once it will be fine." Every just once is a small step along the path to the precipice, and when you finally see it, the way back will not be without pain. Yet do not despair when you have erred. For I am not the one who waits to condemn, but the one who waits to save. Prayer in the midst of sin is not useless. On the contrary, it is the first step home. Prayer need not be perfect, only sincere. When you confess your fault with tears, I do not tally your sins. I wipe those tears away. When you ask forgiveness, I do not interrogate, I open my arms. For true love does not seek reasons to punish, but always seeks a way to redeem. My child, forgiveness is the most wondrous act a soul can perform, for when you forgive, you do what only the strong and the free can do. Forgiveness is not forgetting, it is choosing not to let pain rule your life. Anger is like gripping a burning coal to hurl at another. The first to be burned is always you. When you cling to resentment, you imprison yourself in the dungeon of the past. When you forgive, you open that cell and step into the light. Do not think forgiveness is weakness. It is the highest expression of strength and compassion. The enemy wants you to clutch your wounds, for when you hurt, you are weak, and when you are weak, he can intrude. But when you forgive, you become unassailable, for a heart without rancor leaves no room for darkness. Remember, forgiveness is not only a favor given to another, it is a gift you bestow upon yourself. It cleanses the soul, renews the joy of living, and restores the thread of love between you and me, a thread once frayed by the hurts you carried within. Therefore, my child, pray so that you may forgive, and forgive so that your prayer may be complete. A heart filled with resentment cannot keep rhythm with the divine. Place into my hands every pain, every offense, everything you cannot yet release. I will turn those tears into dew upon the fields of hope. When you let go, you lose nothing. Rather, you find yourself again pure, free, and flooded with light. And know this, my child, the greatest battle in a human life is not with the world, but with oneself, with pride, selfishness, frailty, and the hidden fears within. Prayer is the weapon by which you fight without wounding the strength, by which you overcome without losing your kindness. When you dwell in prayer, every action, every breath, every glance becomes an offering of praise. Then you will understand that you honor me not with grand words, but with gentleness, honesty, and mercy in the smallest of things. So, my child, do not grow weary in prayer, even when your petitions are not answered in the way you hope. I do not always give what you want, but I always grant what you need. Prayer does not change me, it changes you. It turns fear into courage, resentment into love, and despair into trust. When you learn to pray amid the storm, you will find peace even before the waves are stilled, and when you learn to forgive through tears, you will see light even while the rain still falls. My child, live with a praying heart and a forgiving soul, for this is the only road that leads you back to the source of life's light. And as you walk that road, I will walk beside you and never depart, for you are the child I love to the very end. My child, when you place your whole trust in me, your soul is encircled by a rampart nothing can pierce. Faith is not only the key that opens the door of hope, it is the steady flame that warms the heart in the midnight of trial. There are days when clouds lie heavy and you see no light at the end of the path, but it is in those very hours that faith shines clearest. To trust when all goes well is natural. To remain steadfast amid the tempest is the mark of a soul matured in grace. Let that trust be the heartbeat that guides each step you take, for every firm step in faith is a victory over fear, doubt, and weakness. Remember, faith is not blindness, but the vision of the heart where reason halts, faith opens the way. When Abraham heard my call, he had no map and no guarantee, only the conviction that I am faithful. He left his homeland for a land he did not know, because he believed my promise would not return void. By that very faith, a great lineage was formed as countless as the stars in the sky and the sand on the shore. So too with you, let your trust become a river that never ceases soaking into every corner of your life. As you walk by faith, you will see that all things, though seemingly random, are woven into my delicate design. My child, faith is not merely something you hold within. It must be made manifest in deed, in word, and in the shape of your life. Faith untested is like gold untried by fire, still alloyed and lacking luster. Do not fear when I permit difficulties to come, for in hardship your faith is refined to brilliance and strength. At times I am silent, not because I am far, but because I am teaching you to listen with the heart and not the ear, to see with the soul and not the eye. When everything around you seems to crumble, stand firm, close your eyes and say, I know, Father, you are here. That confession is the lamp that shines in the densest night of trial. And my child, gratitude is the faithful companion of faith. If faith lifts your gaze upward, gratitude keeps you from bowing to bitterness. When you learn to see every small thing as a grace, your soul will be filled with peace. Thanksgiving reminds you that you are not abandoned, that every breath, every morning sun, every embrace, every word of encouragement is living proof of my love for you. Look around and recognize that blessing is found not only in the grand but in the ordinary, a stranger's smile, a bird's song at the window, or the cleansing tear after a stumble. When you are grateful, your heart is guarded against envy and complaint. Envy grows when you see in others what you do not yet possess. Gratitude helps you see that what you already have is overflowing. Each complaint is a stone tossed into the stream of peace. Each word of thanks is a blossom opening in the desert. Train your lips to praise instead of grumble, for words have the power to set the climate of the soul. When thanksgiving is your habit, joy becomes your root, and no storm can wrench that root from the soil of your heart. My child, gratitude is also a choice. It does not demand perfect circumstances. It simply chooses to see the light even in the night. When you suffer loss, instead of asking, why me, try to say, I thank you that you are with me in this trial. Such an attitude makes your soul resilient. A grateful heart is not easily subdued, for it knows that though the world may turn, the one who holds human destiny does not change. My child, I have placed within you the capacity to perceive the good amid adversity. When you practice this, the enemy cannot touch your heart, for it is sheathed in light. He sows doubt, discontent, and comparison, but gratitude is the remedy that shatters every scheme. It helps you see that even suffering can bear value, for it teaches humility, compassion, and a deeper love. As a seed must be buried in dark soil to sprout, so your soul must pass through barren seasons to bear fruit. Do not wait until you have enough to be grateful, for gratitude is the key that opens the door to sufficiency. The one who gives thanks in want will soon walk into blessing. The one who only grumbles in abundance will never find true joy. Joy is not housed in possessions, but in the inner light, where you recognize that every small thing is a witness to the love of the Creator. My child, let words of thanksgiving flow from your lips like a cool stream watering the world's parched fields. When you speak, gratitude, not only is your own heart consoled, but those around you are strengthened. The light of thankfulness can spread and touch weary souls, helping them recover a hope they had lost. Therefore, be a sower of gratitude, for even the smallest seed of thanks can grow into a sturdy tree of happiness. And my child, faith and gratitude cannot be separated. Faith beholds what is not yet, gratitude gives thanks for what already is. When the two dwell together, your soul will overflow with peace. Faith stretches you forward, gratitude keeps you humble. Faith moves your feet, gratitude steadies your heart. Together they weave a sacred garment that shields you from every storm of life. If you desire to know my love more deeply, live with a grateful soul and an unshakable faith. For in these two you will find strength to transcend human limits. At times your faith will be tried by fire. Do not be afraid, for that flame does not consume it, illumines. And when that light breaks forth, others will see me through your very life. My child, inscribe thanksgiving upon each day you live, so that every morning you rise, your soul is made fresh like the dew. Do not let doubt or ingratitude dry up the stream of blessing. Nourish your heart with trust and thanksgiving. For when you give thanks in the night, dawn comes sooner. When you hold fast to faith in the gale, a rain of grace will pour over you. And then when you look back, you will see at every step you took through, every trial you overcame, my footprints stood beside yours. Faith helps you behold the wondrous within the ordinary. Gratitude helps you keep joy amid all change. Let your life be a hymn of trust and thanksgiving, that all who touch your life may be warmed by that light. For a soul that believes and gives thanks is an eternal garden, where darkness finds no lodging, and only the fragrance of peace spreads to every place. Beloved child, discipline is the firm foundation on which every soul that longs to mature must set its steps. No one can draw near to the light while yielding to the shadows of desire and ungoverned craving. The urges of the flesh burn hot, seductive, sweet, promising instant delight, yet they leave a lingering bitterness. Even so, the soul is stronger than the flesh. The soul is breathed into being by the Creator and bears within it the power to rise above the body's bonds, if you will train and master it. Discipline is not a chain. It is the wings that carry you across the chasms of temptation, the shield that guards you from the poisoned arrows of weakness and impulse. Remember the teaching of the Apostle Paul: every athlete exercises self-control in all things, for they know no crown is gained without hard training. They refuse fleeting pleasures, they surrender brief comforts for an enduring victory. Your life, too, is such a race where the prize is not a fading wreath, but a soul radiant with everlasting glory. Therefore, if you truly crave triumph, begin by conquering yourself. Train your body that it not grow feeble. Train your mind that it not be deceived. Do not let emotion lead you like a blind man guided to the brink. Let reason, faith, and discipline guide you on the straight path. When temptation rises, it often comes in its most alluring form, with the sweetest whisper at the moment you are weakest. It says only this once it urges who does not stumble, but be on guard, my child, for this is the enemy's blade seeking to sever you from holiness. In those very moments, discipline is the lamp that shines and the rope that draws you up from the pit of falling. The self-controlled person is not one who is never tempted, but one who knows to stop, to choose to say no to whatever disturbs the conscience. Let wisdom speak rather than weakness drive your deeds. Conscience, my child, is the most precious gift I have placed within you. It is a small voice that echoes in the depths, a quiet lamp that never goes out. When conscience reproves it, is I whispering in your heart, warning that you are straying from the way of light. When conscience calls, do not ignore it. When it aches, do not try to silence it. When it urges, submit with humility. The fool stops his ears to conscience, thinking silence is peace. Yet that silence is but dust, settling on the soul, dulling the sense of right and wrong, and that is when the enemy rejoices to enter. Your enemy does not always appear with sword and spear. He does not always threaten or roar. Often he whispers, he reasons, he persuades you that right and wrong are relative, that life must be flexible, that no one is perfect. With every small compromise, your conscience grows dim, the inner voice grows faint, and your soul hollow. But my child, I have set within you a sacred compass, conscience enlightened by the Holy Spirit. Though the world shift and human standards blur, that compass still points to one way only, the path of truth, of love, of righteousness. Attend closely and obey that guidance, for when you faithfully keep that compass, no power can lead you astray. Discipline keeps you standing, conscience keeps you on course. These two are the twin wings that lift you above life's storms. Do not let your heart lie fallow. Do not let your thoughts run wild. Each time you resist temptation, you temper your soul. Each time you heed the voice of conscience, you draw nearer to spiritual maturity. My child, do not fear discipline. It does not come to imprison you, but to set you free. The undisciplined may think themselves free, yet they are jailed by their own desires. They may laugh loudly at the feast, but their hearts are empty. They may drown in pleasure, but their souls wither day by day. As for you, if you learn restraint, if you set boundaries for yourself, you will find deep peace and true freedom, not the freedom of doing whatever you want, but the freedom of refusing what you should not. Do not let the frailty of the body become fetters on the spirit. Train not only your flesh, but your mind. As a smith hammers steel 1,000 times to forge a keen blade, so you must train daily that your soul grows steadfast and your will unyielding. Learn to say no when your heart longs to say yes, and to keep silence when your lips would lash out in anger. True strength lies not in the fist, but in the power to keep it closed. Every act you choose, every word you speak, every thought you nurture is a seed. Seeds sown in discipline will bloom in glory. Seeds sown in indulgence will sprout in bitterness. Discipline and conscience are no strangers, but the twin beats of one heart. Discipline is the hedge of protection. Conscience is the watchman of the night. A person may live without fame, but cannot live in peace after losing these two. My child, I know there are times you feel weary, when discipline seems a burden, yet in that endurance your soul is being refined. Be steadfast, for the fruit of discipline is peace and lasting joy. Do not fear failure. What is truly fearful is refusing to rise after each fall. I do not demand perfection of you today. I ask only for faithfulness day by day, one small step at a time in the light. When you learn to listen to the voice of conscience, you will realize that I have always been there, not far, not silent, but waiting for you to look up. Each stirring within each pause before wrongdoing is proof the light has not gone out in you. Nurture that light with prayer, with watchfulness, with humility and love. Discipline keeps your foot from slipping. Conscience shows you the true way. And when you stand firm in those two things, you will see the world around you change. What once enticed, you will grow small. The clamor of sin will lose its weight. Within you will rise an uncommon peace, a peace not born of circumstances, but of mastery over yourself. You will walk unafraid because you know you are being led by the unseen hand of the one who placed that compass within your heart. Child, live with discipline and guard your conscience as a treasure. Let no other voice drown out its call. Do not let the world's deceits make you doubt what is good. You were made to overcome, to rise above base impulses, to become a mirror of creativity and love. Discipline will be the sword, conscience, the shield, and faith, the flame that lights the way. If you hold fast to these three, no power will prevail against you. Therefore, child, in all things remember there is no victory greater than conquering yourself. Discipline does not kill joy, it purifies it. Conscience does not bind freedom, it protects freedom from ruin. Go with courage and humility. Let each day of your life be a hymn to self-mastery, a testimony that the soul is stronger than the flesh, and that within you the image of the Creator still burns bright and cannot be extinguished. Beloved child, listen deeply to my words. Confession is not a sign of weakness, but a doorway into the land of freedom. There you no longer carry the burden of guilt upon your shoulders. No longer are you bound by the cords of shame and fear. Confession is a safe refuge, the cradle of healing, where you may let your soul unclench after long days of torment. Do not carry sin in silence, for that silence is not peace, but a prison that locks your heart in the dark room of wrongdoing. Every sin, small or great, when hidden, becomes a dagger that twists deeper into the soul, draining your strength without your knowing. But when you bravely open your heart and confess to me with sincerity, my light rushes in, flooding every shadowed corner and driving out the night that presses down upon you. My child, do not fear admitting what is wrong. Do not let pride or shame keep you from coming to me. I do not stand to condemn you, but to gather you into my arms, to wipe away your tears and to place new hope in your hands. If your heart needs a listener, seek a trustworthy believer, for at times I also speak to you through them. Confession does not make you lesser. On the contrary, it proves your courage and your longing to be renewed to live in the truth. When you dare to face yourself and your sin, you break the power of darkness, for the enemy can only manipulate what you keep hidden. Once brought into the light, it loses its strength. Remember, my light never harms you. It dissolves what is false and leaves only purity and peace. Confession is not merely an act, it is an encounter between you and me, an encounter brimming with grace. When you bow your head and say, I was wrong in that very moment, heaven opens and my heart overflows with mercy. I am faithful and just. I never turn away the contrite. Every fault you bring is washed clean by my love, and I remember it no more. I do not keep a ledger of your sins. I keep the memory of your returns, your tears of repentance, and the trust you place in me. When you confess, your soul is set free, your heart made clean, and your spirit restored. The wind of grace will pass over you, lifting the weight from your shoulders, and you will feel as though you have come alive again. Beloved child, do not underestimate the power of confession. It not only brings you forgiveness, but also guards your soul from decay. When you keep sin within it, is like a wound left unattended, slowly becoming infected and spreading harm to what is still healthy. But when you bring that wound into the light and allow me to touch it, I will cleanse it, heal it, and turn it into the mark of a victory. Confession is the first step on the road to restoration, the shield that protects you from the harsh consequences of disobedience. Each time you choose humility and return the hosts of heaven, rejoice, and I, the Creator, rejoice beyond measure. For in that moment you come back to your true place, a child in the arms of a father. Obedience, child, is the lifeline of your soul. Do not regard what I teach as a burden, nor imagine my word to be a chain. On the contrary, every word I speak is light for your path, a compass in a sea full of snares. Every commandment and precept is not to imprison you, but to shield you from ruin. As a father builds a fence around a garden to keep his child from harm, so I set boundaries to keep you from the abyss of sin. You may think freedom is doing whatever you want, but true freedom exists only when you walk within the limits of truth and love. When you obey, you do not lose freedom. You preserve life itself. Beloved child, see my word as a map that leads to peace. Not a single instruction I give is useless. Every teaching is a warning, every commandment a sheltering shield. The enemy will always try to make you doubt my word, to persuade you that obedience is weakness and resistance is strength, but that is a lie. The one who rebels against my word is not free. He merely trades one yoke for another, from light to darkness. But the one who obeys walks lightly and securely, for such a one no longer wrestles alone against the snares of life. When you obey, your way grows clearer, your soul more at rest, and your faith more steadfast. Obedience does not erase your uniqueness. It reveals the true meaning of your life within my perfect design. You will see that I never meant you to live as a slave, but as a child who freely chooses to remain in love. Obedience is the sign of love, not born of fear, but of the certainty that my word always leads to life. When you follow my call, even without understanding it fully, I will bring you to a safe place where no evil can harm you. Remember, my child, this world abounds with deceptive roads, glittering shortcuts that end in destruction. My word is the lamp for your feet in that night. Ignore it, and you will wander into a twilight where what seems right is in truth wrong. Cling to it, and though you pass through the valley of the shadow of death, I remain guiding, sheltering, and fighting for you. Whoever walks in obedience is spared countless snares that befall the disobedient, for my light falls upon your path and warns you before disaster can overtake you. Beloved child, I know obedience is not always easy. There are words of mine you do not yet understand, requests that feel hard to accept, but trust that I am never mistaken. Every teaching and command springs from a love deeper than you can fathom. As a father will not let his child play at the cliff's edge, so I will not leave you free to wander into ruin. If you trust and follow, you will see that what I forbid is precisely what could destroy you, and what I require is the very path that opens into lasting peace and joy. Therefore, child, keep a tender heart listening and ready to obey. Confess that your soul may be illumined. Obey that your soul may be at peace. These two, confession and obedience, are the wings by which you rise, breaking the chains of darkness. Do not fear to bow low, for in humility you will be lifted up. Do not fear to admit weakness, for in that weakness my strength is revealed. I want you to know I do not seek perfect people, but honest hearts. You need not come to me flawless, come to me truthful. When you dare to speak the truth about yourself, you open the door for me to enter, and when I enter, no darkness can remain. Let confession become the habit of your soul and obedience the very breath of your life. For when you live so, you will fear nothing, because I, the one who loves you with an everlasting love, will walk with you on every road. And my child, when you have been forgiven, rise and walk. Do not look back on the past. Do not carry unending regret in your heart. Step toward the light, for you are no longer bound by sin. You are one set free, one redeemed, one beloved. Live worthy of that grace, courageous, faithful, and always walking in my word. As you do, you will see that confession is not only release, but the beginning of a new journey, a journey of peace, of joy, and of victory in the light everlasting. My beloved child, engrave this upon your heart. The source of your life does not flow from wealth, fame, or power, but from your own heart. Everything you think, everything you do, everything you speak, springs from that hidden place. Therefore, guard your heart above all else, as a keeper watches over his most precious treasure. A heart filled with my presence will be a fortress against every scheme of darkness, but a heart divided by sin and doubt becomes a battlefield where you are most exposed. Be watchful. Do not let corrupt thoughts enter, for they slip in like smoke and dim the light you carry within. Remember, child, the heart is like soil. If you do not sow good seed, weeds will grow. Do not leave your heart empty, for idleness opens a gap for the enemy to creep in. When your mind is not set on what is good, it easily yields to the lures of vanity, pride, or instant gratification. So fill your soul with the sacred. Let prayer be your breath, worship the rhythm of your heart, and feeding on the word your daily bread. When you choose to offer your time to what is good, you build a hedge around your heart against the rot of the world. My child, do not fear self-discipline. Discipline is not a chain. It is the key that opens true freedom. When you spend time in prayer instead of indulgence, when you choose forgiveness instead of resentment, when you decide to study my word rather than chase fleeting pleasures, you are training your heart to stand firm. A heart steadfast in me will not be swept away by the shifting winds of life. Let truth be your foundation, for only what is true can keep you standing in the storm. When you choose to live by the truth, I will place peace within your heart in the midst of the tempest, and you will feel a strength that does not come from yourself, but from me, the one who dwells in you. Remember my faithful servant Daniel. He lived among an idolatrous people in a court thick with intrigue and injustice, yet his heart did not waver. He was not sheltered by human power, but upheld by trust in me. Each day, though prayer could cost him his life, he opened his windows toward his homeland and knelt before me. That perseverance made him unassailable. Do you see, true strength lies not in weapons or rank, but in a heart whose fidelity does not change. I sent my angel to shut the lions' mouths, because Daniel's faith outweighed every plot of the enemy. Learn from his spirit of faithfulness. When you keep your heart pure, when you remain loyal, though the world may mock, I will stand with you. However great the trial, your faithfulness is a cry that moves heaven. There will be times you feel alone, as if the whole world has turned its back, but do not be afraid, my child. I am there in the night, in the refining fire in your tears. When you persevere and do not give up, I will turn pain into strength, tears into pearls, and I will make you a witness to my steadfast faithfulness. Do not forget, child, that trials are not a sign of abandonment, but the training that purifies your faith. As gold must pass through fire to be refined, so your heart must endure hardship to become firm. The world may be riddled with injustice, the wicked may seem to thrive, and you may feel forgotten among the many, but I never forget. Every drop of sweat you shed in faithfulness is recorded before me. Your reward is not the fleeting glory of this world, but eternal splendor in me. Child, do not be deceived by the outward show of power and sin. The enemy may appear strong, lies may be alluring, but they are only illusions. I am the Almighty. I do not change, and I have triumphed from everlasting. Darkness may spread, but it cannot extinguish the light. Trials may come, but they cannot steal the hope within you. As you remain faithful, I will lift you above every hidden scheme. I will shelter you beneath my mighty arm and lead you into a resting place of peace where no power can reach you. Beloved, trust that obedience is never in vain. Every small act of faith bears great fruit in the unseen realm. When you choose honesty in an age of deceit, love in a world of hatred, endurance where others give up, you are taking part in my victory. You do not fight alone, the hosts of heaven stand with you, for you belong to me. Remember, true blessedness is not having everything you want, but having me in all that you have. When you keep your heart in my peace, you will see that the world has no power left to make you tremble. Temptations will come, but they will lose their grip. Trials will arise, but they will not destroy you, for your heart is set on me, and I am the rock that cannot be moved. My child, do not let your faith be a passing feeling. Make it your way of life, your very breath. Let every decision, every thought, every journey begin with one question. Does this please the Creator? Live so, and the enemy will find no doorway, for you will always be standing in the light. Child, keep going, however rough the road. Lift your heart upward. Do not let fear blur your vision. Believe that every steady step you take in faith is a step I take with you. Though the world may change and all around you may crumble, let your heart remain firm, for I do not change. And when you have passed through the storm and look back on the road, you will recognize that in the days that seemed darkest, I was there, holding your heart from collapse, keeping your soul in peace, and preparing you for greater things. Then you will understand guarding your heart is not only shielding it from harm, but keeping it as the throne where I dwell. My beloved child, live as a warrior of light, with a heart humble and faithful. Let your heart be a spring from which life flows, so that this parched world may be renewed. For I am in you, and when your heart belongs wholly to me, no force can seize the blessing and peace I have promised. Now lift to me a prayer from the depths of your soul, like fragrant incense rising into the stillness, with all sincerity, contrition, and longing to belong to me. Almighty God, who sees all that is hidden in the human heart, I come to you with a spirit still frail. I know Satan cannot force me, yet he can whisper honeyed words into my ear and sow in my mind the seeds of desire and self-satisfaction. Please set sentries at the gates of my heart so that every thought and every feeling is illumined by your radiance. Do not let me fall in moments that seem harmless, for I know a single wrong thought can lead me far from you. Grant me holy alertness that I may guard my soul at all times and live only for the good that belongs to you. Dear Father, I confess that there are times I am weary and discouraged when temptation comes lightly as a breeze, and I have not the strength to resist. In those fragile moments, do not leave me alone. Be near me so that whenever I start to fall, I remember the loving gaze of your eyes. Grant me strength to flee from sin as Joseph did, that I may know true courage is not remaining in the trial but turning from what is evil. Teach me that only in you am I truly protected and at peace. Lord, the source of my soul's life, teach me to pray without ceasing. Let my prayers be not only a cry in fear, but the breath of each day, the stream that waters a parched heart. When I speak your name, let the night within me vanish. When I read your word, let my soul be renewed. Help me not to seek you only in desperation, but to live with you in the smallest moments of this life. Lord of my heart, I thank you for preserving me amid so many temptations. There were moments when I nearly fell, yet it was your grace that drew me back. I praise you for not letting me wander forever in darkness, for your patience endures, and your love remains even when I am unworthy. Every step I take, you walk with me. Every breath I have is a witness to your mercy. Good and gracious Father, I thank you for forgiving me so many times. I have been weak, unfaithful, and distant, yet you have never turned your face away. Your love is an unfailing stream that washes every stain from my soul. I thank you that I may begin again, live anew in your grace, and be called a child of the light. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that together we can build a strong and vibrant community of faith.